Well, tubers, it's finally happened. The shed's all fitted out and done. The wood shed's cleaned out. All that'll be now is for firewood. All the old stuff, the mowers, all the tools, all that kind of crap, all went into the old shed. Oh, that's the wood saw, you know that. The new one's done. Let's go for a look inside. It's all stuff you've seen before, but in a totally different layout, of course. Well, not totally different, just different. It's an American barn style shed, as you can see. It's 9 by 9.5, so it's 9.5 across the back, and along that wall she's 9 metres. She's all been wired up, got fancy new LED, not fluoro tubes, they're new sorts of lights. Well, not new, but you know, better than fluoros. Yeah, so obviously looking around, sandblaster you've seen, and the vac there for it. The grinders and the sanders and that polishers. I've left up this end because they're real dusty work, so I don't want it all down the end there where the mill and the lathe is and all that sort of stuff. So anything dusty and dirty hopefully is up this end. That's just the old bench with all the grinding stuff and sandpapers, you know, files, polishing bits and pieces, all that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? Nothing particularly exciting. Ultrasonic cleaner, tumbler, little service trolley. That's just got all my little bits of steel for the lathe and that down the bottom. The lathe, of course, you've seen. Nothing new there. That's the same old lathe. Getting sick of moving it, I tell you. My little sort of machine bench with a few special tools, tooling for the lathe and mill. You've seen all this. Yeah, the mill, of course. Compressor down the corner there. The old traffic lights you've seen many times. Parts cleaner, plasma cutter and arc welding. That's just my little bench for all my oils and shit like that. You know, the stuff, your sprays and your brake cleaner, your, you know, CRCs, all that kind of stuff. Toolbox you've seen. Here's my new hoist. It's a tough lift. Put that in myself. Went in really easy. It's a 4-tonner, 2 posts as you can see. Yeah, went in like a treat. It was quite simple. The instructions Chinese converted to English or translated to English, and they're nothing short of ridiculous, to put it plainly. This bench you've seen with me Ford stuff up there. Nuts and bolts. I've got some trays and all that to sort it all out. There's the view over there looking over Breuthen. The fan. Pinball machines you've seen many times. Just more cupboard stuff. You know, bits and pieces, special bits, cupboards full of parts and that sort of thing. There's me little restoration projects you've seen before. There's a video on most of them, or all of them actually. Fridge, gotta have a fridge with a few cans in it. Gotta have a can. A couple more motors, the Wisconsins and that you've seen. In those boxes is stuff from the old shed, books, all sorts of stuff that I just don't know where to put yet. Powder coating. Maryland's back. I've had that picture for years actually. I had it thrown out in a hard rubbish day. And I've had it, I'm not a huge fan or anything, but I've just had it for years and I just like it. And that little Briggsy you've seen, that's an upcoming project, little 3-horse. But we're about to start on the Honda CTX200. This bike I got very cheap, as you know, extremely cheap. We are gonna turn it into a trike. I want to keep the electric start and the lights and all that sort of stuff, but I want to turn it into a trike with some big fat ATV tyres up the back. I don't know what I'll do with the front yet. I want to put a smaller ATV tyre on it, but there's not that much width in the forks, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. But yeah, we're going to start this this project, and we'll begin by stripping the bike down, getting rid of all the stuff that we're not going to use. Like, we're not going to use, you know, these pack racks, that sort of stuff. You know, this kind of thing up the back. Those rear plastics may do the job. The exhaust has got to be changed. It's only going to have a rear brake. I can reuse that disc assembly up the front and put all that down the back. There'll be a straight axle down the back on that swing arm. I'll try and keep the light switches, that's the high-low beam, the indicators, the electric start, all that sort. That'll become the rear brake, because the rear, well, the rear drum brake is completely missing. As you can see, there's the spring in there for it to activate the brake light switch, but the whole assembly's missing. There's the arm there, you can see. But she starts and runs. Yeah, the electric start and all that works. So this is what we're going to be starting on, guys. Oh, well, we're starting to get a bit done here. Headlight. Well, we've taken off the front pack rack and that hand guard thing or lever guard, one in front of the levers, whatever you call them. Stop your hands from getting smashed up, I suppose. Just dropped off the headlight assembly, and we're going to be reusing all of this wiring, so we're just going to go very easy with this. Yeah, just unplug it carefully and go from there. I don't know what half of this is, but yeah, we shall work through it. I want to use the headlight again, so that'll mean reusing that little bracket. It slides in quite easy, just in those two rubber grommets down over that and secured by 2 bolts on the side, so that's pretty easy. The hydraulic hose for the front brakes is off, guys. That just runs down through some bracketry, down to a bracket there, and the caliper. Someone got their mileage out of these pads. Have a look at, number one, they weren't located in the caliper, and number two, they're well down to the metal backing. Little twin piston job. That's the floating element. Yeah, it'll all need checking out. I don't know how good it is. There may be, you know, a cheap Chinese copy on the market that that I can get, or sometimes if you buy as I say, I've got to get a rear axle assembly. Sometimes it comes with the sprockets, calipers, discs, wheel hubs, all that sort of stuff. We'll just see on that, but that actually, it sort of does work, believe it or not, but yeah, it needs a good, needs overhauling, as I say. She's a little bit sad. Hand throttle assemblies off, guys. They're pretty much of a muchness. I don't need to show you pulling all this to bits. It's so self-explanatory. But typical farm bike. Have a look at the rust under the running surface of that. It's the throttle was really tight, and that explains why. So yeah, she basically lived outside in the rain and the sun and the dust and everything, this one. So anyway, may reuse that, or we may get a whole new assembly. I don't know yet. Yeah, that's the kill switch. I'm trying to keep all this wiring together in one complete loom as I go, which I should be able to do, and just work it from there. But yeah, we're getting there. We'll take off this brake lever next, and speedo assembly, clutch, all that sort of stuff can all come off. 2 little wires on the back of the clutch lever there, guys, but I think what they are is a parking brake light or tail light. As you can see, we've got PKB or parking brake, so when you pull the clutch in, you push that in, it holds the clutch in and acts like a handbrake sort of. I don't know if I'd trust it, and when you pull the clutch, it releases and away you go. Maybe just a brake light for that, I'd say. I don't know what else, unless it's something to do with the neutral, but I doubt it. Yeah. Well, that's the handlebars stripped. and a lot of the front components, indicator, so on and so on and so on. Got one little busted wire in here. There's one there that's green with a red trace. I think it marries up there. I don't know. That's all ignition key, all that sort of shit. So yeah, a little bit of a mess, but as I say, we'll clean it all up, straighten it all out, and we'll probably modify this a bit. We won't be running a speedo. Let's see what happens. Side covers come off easy, guys. Air cleaner assembly. It's just one bolt there where my thumb is. And these rubber grommets just locate a couple of pins. Same on the other side. And that reveals the battery, which we're basically going to disconnect and pull out now. Doesn't look like there's any real mysteries in any of that, but yeah. Seat come off easy, guys. Just two bolts, one this side, one the other side. That also helps hold in that pack rack thing. It's the brackets there for it. Rubber mounted, and the front just locks in with a lug. So yeah, lots of dirt and that, lots of cow poop, because it come off a dairy farm. So yeah, so she's gonna, a lot of this stuff will go, the rear guards, all that sort of assembly, all that stuff will go. I'll put a little sports air cleaner system on it, so we'll be getting rid of a lot of this jazz, but very slowly, very carefully. We won't chuck anything till we know exactly what we've got. Tank's off, guys. Same old thing, one bolt to secure the back, and then the front sits in these two rubber lugs. They just come off. Also the brackets there for the that little cowling that goes around the tank. Don't forget that either. That's the rear guard and pack rack off, guys. A little bit fiddly, obviously, because there was a heap of mud on the backs of the nuts and bolts and cow poop and all sorts of other bloody stuff. So it's a wonder what you find in these things. We're not reusing a lot of these components. I'll save these rubber grommets with the inserts and that. They could be handy later. Things like that exhaust, basically we're changing that, so we're not keeping that. That's pretty well muffled. You don't want to scare shit out of all your cows. It is a farm bike. But yeah, just starting to envisage what we're going to end up with here. Just took the side off the air cleaner box or air filter box. Doesn't look like it's been checked recently. Now, I don't know for sure, but I tell you what, that would not have been getting one skerrick of air. That's no wonder she wasn't running too well. Yeah, I'll probably double my horsepower here. That stuff is thick on that. It's absolutely thick. We'll come around the other side now. Points of reference, earth cable, power cable. Don't know what all that is in there. These could be anything. But I have to keep it all because I don't know what's going, well, all of the ignition stuff, all that kind of stuff will be going back. Like that's the switch for the rear brake light. As I mentioned earlier, things like that aren't going back. But yeah, we just, I'll just, as I say, I'll save most of this. Yeah, for just that reason. I just don't know exactly how much of it's going back. 12 volt AGM battery. Oh, it's probably the original, I don't know. Would not have been cheap by any means, I don't think that. That would appear to be a breather tube for the battery, guys. The AGM battery that we just pulled out has no breather tube, so obviously it wasn't the original. Yeah, so that's another part that we probably won't be needing. That's the airbox out, guys. Well, half out. You can't take that right out unless you got the rear wheel off. So, yeah, it's loose anyway. It's just a matter of pulling it out. A lot of wires and stuff that we'll have to try and, well, we'll relocate some of it and fabricate a few brackets here and there. Yeah, but no, it's coming apart slowly but surely. It's no real headache. course, when I'm out working in my new shed, you always get the occasional visitor. This is KP. That's short for King Parrot. Basically, he's just showed up and he's telling me he wants something to eat. Points of reference, ignition coil, whatever that is. These brackets must stay, of course. These clamps will stay. Don't know if I'll run the horn yet, maybe not. Yeah, so, because this wiring's got to be put somewhere when it goes back together. So a lot of that factory stuff we'll try and keep. Ignition coil wire had an earth strap under it, which is that one, so just keep your eye on that. Point of reference, the upper rear engine mount is offset, as you can see. That's got to come out before I can pull the wiring loom. Well, that's the wiring loom out, guys. Yeah, I was going to try and put lights and indicators and horns and try and keep it original. Getting all too fiddly. Starting circuit, ignition circuit, charging circuit, and that's about it, I think. That's all I'll go for. It'll simple up all of that a lot. The battery earth cable connects to one of the mounting bolts for the starter there. So that's pretty straightforward. Yeah, clutch cable's out and all of that. We're getting there, guys. Yeah, I'm going to sort of put it up on a bloody milk crate, I think, and start pulling the wheels and that off, and get the rest of it up on the bench. We can start thinking about some measurements and where we're going to cut. Probably remove this and just put that more straight that way. Give us a bit more of a, you know, sporty look, I suppose. Some of this will be trimmed off. The seat mount bolts, I think, are those. So some of this will be removed. Yeah, slowly getting there. Not much left now, guys. I'm just going to drag this outside, try and give it a bit of a clean. Not much. And then put it up on the bench. And we'll start doing some measurements and having a look and yeah, see where we're going and what we've got to do. Well, just starting to do a bit of cutting and modifying and what have you on this frame, guys. Trimmed off these back bits. That's the rear seat mount. The seat sort of finishes around there. I'm going to cut that piece out. It's all rusty and shitty. I'll put a bit of angle in there and just mould it in, weld it in and mould it in nicely. As I say, I want to drop these on more on, go into that cross member there and come back up to here. But I've got to try and think, you know, I've got to get a battery in there and that sort of stuff. You've got to allow for an air cleaner. An exhaust has got to come up through, and the exhaust will be rear exiting in the middle. So you've got to try and envisage all this, just grinding a few bits and pieces off. Got to do some repair in there, so I'll cut that section out and cut a new piece and weld it in. Those holes will be closed, that'll be closed. Yeah, so I've got a lot of just, you know, little bits of tidy up to do. As I say, all this sort of stuff will come off. I'll do a new set of foot pegs, but any brackets that's for the rear brake switch, that sort of bracket will go. These will probably go. That hole's got to stay. It's for the rear seat mount. Yeah, I'm working on an axle. There's a few little, I don't know, not logistic problems, not logistics, just bloody few little, not even engineering problems, just, you know, you got to try and think ahead. Bit more slicing and cutting, guys. I've left them there purely point of reference for the seat mounts, because the bar will be coming down, as I say, through there. Yeah, I cleaned a few brackets off the swing arm. Just working out the battery is going to go in directly in above there. You've got to allow room for everything. As I say, that's the hard part. Well, I want to take this swing arm off so I can get in here to clean all this up and cut a lot of it away. I'll drop the shocker out and yeah, go from there. Started cleaning up the back, guys. Yeah, a lot of mucking about. I tried with the plasma cutter, but wasn't having a lot of luck. I don't know if that, might have been a bit thick for the plasma cutter. Don't know. It had good earth and all of that, but I was having more luck with the cut-off wheel, but got to trim off there a bit more and so on and so on. That's where those bars will be coming up. Yeah, I just want to take any brackets off that I don't need and just have it as clean as I possibly can frame and light as possible and all of those things. Still going on the back here, guys. Got rid of the seat mounts, but I took a measurement from a fixed point there to there, so I know what that is. Look, made up a little custom piece for the back here. That's got to be all rounded off. I'll weld it all, clean up the welds, so on and so on. Just making up these pieces at the back here for the moment. Yeah, have to be shortened, but that'll be tucked up in nicely and, welded in, and shouldn't look too bad. I mean, I'm no George Barris or Boyd Coddington, but far from a custom expert, but it won't stop us from having a go. Well, that's that bit just tacked in, guys. No real difference. I just got rid of the one that was down there. Just gives it a slightly more sleek look. Yeah, didn't come up too bad. Appears to be fairly straight. I don't know. We'll find out. Working on the battery mount, guys. As I say, I utilised the top shock mount. That's just a clamp holding it in position, sort of. Don't know whether to have it skew if or level or what. I can't really put it anywhere else because I've got to allow for carby, exhaust, all that sort of thing. I think it'll be all right. Yeah, because as I say, I've got to have this space here, obviously, for the carby and an air cleaner. I'd really like to hide it, but geez, I just don't know where, and I can't go up any higher because I've only got that sort of clearance between the seat, and I've got electrical components, a CDI, so that sort of stuff to go in there as well. We'll keep going with it. Got the hubs today for mounting the disc and their rear sprocket. That one will be for the disc. I think that's about 100 and whatever, and that's 100 and, no, sorry, the other one, I beg your pardon, that's going to go with that one. I think the hub's about 115 mil and the disc is about 116, so there's a slight gap there, that's fine. Basically, it's just got to be centred and drilled. So that's easy enough to do, really. That'll become the hub for the disc. Got some countersunk Allen key screws, just some M8 screws, countersunk, so I'll countersink the holes a little bit. And that's the one for the rear sprocket. Quite a bit of size difference. I think that's 100 mil, that's about 60 something. So that has got to go in the lathe and be turned down and re-drilled for 6 holes. Shouldn't be a huge problem. Hopefully I've got the tooling. I think the faceplate or whatever I'll screw onto that. Sorry, yeah, looking over there. Should be. I'm hoping I can bolt that to the faceplate somehow and have this area open so I can turn it out. I'll come up with something. I don't know what, but work something out. But yeah, the hubs seem to be all right. That's a 6-pointer, as I say. The old one was 5, but that's all right. I can space that so the holes, don't marry up with the old ones, and yeah, shouldn't be a huge problem because I'll probably, by the time I bore that out to 100 mil, I'm going to lose most of those holes anyway. So yeah, come up with something. There it is, tubers. The disc hub is mounted. Couldn't have been easier, guys. As I said, these holes that were already in the hub were 6.8 millimetres. That's a perfect size for a tap for an M8 by 1.25, I think it is, bolt. Just got countersunk bolts, as I said. Did two, because two will always marry up. Put them in, countersunk the holes, tightened it all up. That centralised the hub, and it's slightly down just where my thumb is. I mean, it'd be lucky if it was 0.5 millimetre. It's on the disc. It's not going to really matter that much. You would be, you know, slightly up and down. Isn't really going to hurt too much on the disc. Come up all right. I'll have to trim the bolts off, but geez, how easy was that? That was simple, guys. So yeah, and the disc itself, it's not hardened steel, but it was a bit harder than mild steel, I think. But it's still drilled all right with a bit of tap magic or something like that, bit of oil or something. So we'll clean up the disc, and basically that's pretty much done. Well, tubers, I'm no machinist. As you know, we've got to take that out to 100 mil, which is sort of about halfway through. So we're going to bore it, put it on the faceplate, lifted it up a bit so I could get the boring tool in there, obviously, to go right through. Clamped it down on two sides. Now, I can only get two sides. I know ideally it should have three. I'm hoping that if I get it nice and tight and take me time, just taking this out a little bit, I've got to centre it up first, of course. I'll do that with a dial gauge. Hopefully it'll come out all right. I don't know how else I'm going to get a nice, neat circle in there. I mean, I can blow it out with the plasma cutter, but then I've got to try and clean it up and make it round. How the hell am I going to do that? So hopefully this is going to work. We're going to find out. Well, this is what I've come up with, guys. She's all bolted up and ready to go. Boring bars on, as you can see. It's only held in by 3 of those grub screws. The last one's not, not tight. The tool's not long enough, but I think we'll be all right. I'm going to go very easy. I've clamped it up tight. I've had the dial indicator on in there, and I'm within like 0.00 of a millimetre or whatever, so it's going to be near enough, I think. Number one, will it hold? I'm hoping it will. We'll just take nice easy cuts. We're not going to bloody break any records here. Rotationally, just check things like that. As you can see, we're all right. I've got this on the lowest speed I can go, which is 90 RPM. There's a bit of run out that way. Not too concerned about that. I'm worried about up and down. Appears to be running fairly true. As I say, I've had the dial indicator on it, and we look all right. So we're gonna try a cut, see what happens. That's the machine work done, guys. Got to be happy with that. The fit is perfect. I got that spot on. Every man's occasionally blessed with luck. Yeah, just a matter of marking out the holes for the flange and drilling it, and that's that. One thing I have noticed is looking at the swing arm and looking at the disc in that. That's a pretty big disc. I'm just hoping that there's not too much of a ground clearance issue in the middle of the axle, if you know what I mean. I want taller tyres, obviously. But yeah, I'll lose a bit of clearance there. But these are the discs and sprockets that came with the bike. I don't want to be spending big bucks because I don't even know if the bloody thing's going to work, and it can always be modified down the track. Well, that's the disc and sprocket mounted. I've got to trim off the bolts, obviously. I'll do that before final assembly. That's just sitting on a makeshift shaft. As I say, they're quite tall. Yeah, I'm hoping, you know, with a taller wheel, you know, I should get a bit of ground clearance under here. I'm not, like I say, I'm not spending big bucks on bloody sprockets and discs and all that. No, it's just, you know, it's a prototype. Let's see what happens.
Well, that's it for part one, guys. Yeah, stay tuned to this channel. Thank you to my subscribers, my viewers, and anyone else who contributes anything at all to these videos. We shall be doing a second part very, very soon. Take care, guys. See you later.